Hello, and welcome back to From a Head Teacher's Perspective with me, Paul Urry. One of the most damaging myths about leadership in schools is that it begins with a job title: deputy, assistant head, subject leader, senior leader. These titles matter, but they are not where leadership starts. Leadership begins the moment your actions begin to shape the thinking, confidence, or practice of others. This is why leadership exists at every level of a school: in classrooms, in corridors, in meetings, in moments of uncertainty. Influence, not title, is the true currency of leadership. For teachers stepping into leadership, this realization can be both empowering and unsettling. Empowering because it means you do not have to wait to lead. Unsettling because it means leadership responsibility begins earlier than you might expect. You may already be leading more than you realize. When colleagues seek your advice, when others notice how you handle challenge, when your approach is copied or referenced, when your attitude affects morale. These are signs of influence. Leadership is not about authority over others. It is about impact on others. This distinction matters deeply in schools because education is a profession built on relationships. Teachers are not motivated by hierarchy alone. They respond to trust, credibility, and example. This is why positional authority without influence feels weak, and why influence without title can feel powerful. As a subject leader, you may not line manage colleagues, you may not make final decisions, you may not control systems or structures, and yet you are still expected to lead. This requires a shift in how leadership is understood. Influential leadership is rooted in credibility. Credibility grows when colleagues see that you understand your subject deeply, that you respect professional expertise, that you listen carefully, act fairly, and follow through on commitments. People follow leaders they trust, not leaders they are told to obey. Influence is also built through consistency. What you tolerate, you normalize. What you model, you multiply. Small, repeated behaviors matter. How you speak about pupils, how you respond to pressure, how you handle disagreement, how you talk about colleagues when they are not present. These behaviors quietly shape culture. This is why leadership at every level carries responsibility. Even when you do not feel like a leader, others may still be reading your cues. Influence is not always intentional, but it is always present. This is where emerging leaders sometimes feel uncomfortable. You may worry about acting like a leader too soon. You may fear appearing overconfident, interfering, or stepping beyond your role. These concerns are understandable, but leadership does not require performance. It requires integrity. Leadership at every level means aligning your actions with the values you believe matter for pupils and colleagues, even when no one is watching. It means asking thoughtful questions. It means supporting others without judgment. It means taking responsibility for your influence. Importantly, leadership at every level does not mean having all the answers. Influential leaders are often learners first. They model curiosity rather than certainty. They admit when they do not know. They seek understanding before offering solutions. This creates psychological safety. People are more open to influence when they do not feel judged. Leadership influence also grows when leaders understand context. Emerging leaders sometimes focus too narrowly on improvement without appreciating workload, history, or existing pressures. Influence weakens when leadership feels disconnected from reality. Strong influence comes from empathy as much as ambition. It asks, what is this like for others? What pressures are already present? How can improvement feel supportive rather than burdensome? Influence without empathy feels forceful. Empathy without influence feels passive. Leadership holds both. Another important truth about leadership at every level is this: you do not get to choose whether you have influence. You only get to choose how you use it. You can use influence to encourage reflection, to build confidence, to promote fairness, support growth, or you can unintentionally use it to spread cynicism, increase anxiety, undermine trust, resist change. Leadership maturity lies in recognizing this responsibility. As you step into leadership, you are not being asked to become someone else. You are being asked to become more intentional about the influence that you already have. This is why leadership development begins long before senior roles. It begins with awareness. Awareness of how you show up. Awareness of how your words land. Awareness of how your actions shape culture. When you understand leadership as influence rather than title, the role feels less about status and more about service. You begin to see leadership opportunities everywhere: in how you support a colleague after a difficult lesson, in how you frame change during a meeting, in how you respond when something goes wrong. Also, in how you advocate for pupils. This is leadership at its most authentic, and it is how leadership confidence is built, not through promotion alone, but through practice. So pause for reflection and take time to consider these questions. Where do others already look to you for guidance and reassurance? How might your everyday actions be influencing colleagues? What kind of influence do you want to be known for? Leadership does not begin when you are given permission. It begins when you recognize that your influence already matters. The accompanying workbook is designed to support this process, helping you reflect on your leadership habits, identify next steps, and translate insights into action as your leadership continues to develop. Take time to work through it individually or as a group. And until next time, thank you and goodbye.